Greetings and welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at UC Weekly News. Happy New Year. I'm wearing my dorky hat from everything. This is our first news show for the calendar year. And actually, we're not live. We recorded this a couple of days ago. I'm now at CES 2024, attending the Media Days, which are taking place yesterday and today. And then the show opens tomorrow on Tuesday. And if you're watching this on Monday when it premieres, that's all an assumption. But I did want to get some fresh content out to you. And I have joining me I don't know, the 19-time winner of AV Person of the Year, the founder of HETMA, my good friend Joe A. Joe, say hi to everybody. Take a minute to introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Hey, dude, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. I feel bad for the audience that they're kicking off the year with me. So trust me, every episode from this point forward will be much better. So, start low, go from there. Thank you. It's an honor to be back with you. So I am Joe Way. So my day job, my 9 to 5, is the executive director of digital spaces at UCLA, which is the greatest title ever because it tells you nothing about what I actually do. But I oversee all of the audiovisual across the enterprise, from our classroom installs, live events, digital signage, pretty much all that. Preparing for an exciting 5 years of, I guess now we're in 2024, so 4 years from now, hosting the Olympics on campus. So that'll be exciting and part of my role, which I'm sure we'll get to. And of course, I am also the co-founder and chair of HETMA, the Higher Education Technology Managers Alliance, which is an advocacy group to advocate for the needs of the higher ed vertical within the greater AV industry, and editor-in-chief, founder of Higher Ed AV Media. There's probably other stuff, but there we go. We'll stick with that.
Joe, you and I, when we get together, we would need to build new closets. We have too many hats. We can't have room for all
Nope.
the hats that
I
we
don't.
wear.
Half the time it's like going, okay, who am I representing on this call? Wait, what angle are we going from?
Yeah, and not that many people know. I think I've told you, and I may have mentioned it once or twice to anybody who's looked at my background, but I did cut my teeth after broadcasting in academia. I was in charge of, I actually designed and built the TV media services at NYU, and I was there for about 5 years. The interesting thing about working at a university, and Joe, by all means, challenge me if I'm wrong with this, but I found the interesting thing is everybody has something on the side. Some people have their art on the side. Some people have politics on the side. You and I have, technology and building things. I was the co-founder of an organization called COCO, the Collective of Campus Cable Operators, which became a HECTA.
Mhm.
So I was involved in that. And my thing on the side at the time was Mike Bloomberg. I was building all of his TV and radio stations. And when that became so much more than what I was doing for the university, it was sort of like, all right, it's time to switch. Balance is on.
Yeah,
But
I totally agree with you. And I think it's actually one of the cool things about higher ed, because we're all about exploration, about kind of being your individual. And, that's what we preach to our students, right? And even though we might have day jobs of, getting projectors and stuff to work, the fact is, it is a time, a place to explore, a place to kind of utilize those resources and kind of come into your own, even if you're just a staff member, and it's encouraged for faculty, of course, to kind of have to write and publish and research. And I love it as staff. And it's one of the things I always encourage my staff to do is don't look at this as a job. Look at this as an opportunity to, improve your own brand, your own skills, bring, help others. It's one of the great things about higher education is that ability to leverage the resources we have to help the greater community, and whether it be the community of the school or your other outside interests. I totally agree with you. So
cool.
we're 1 for 1 on agreement. That's good. Good year. Good way to
That's
start the year.
absolutely. And now let's talk about how we're spending the first 45 days of the year. Right now, as I said, while anybody's watching this, I'm at CES. There are going to be some interesting news items coming out of CES. I'm going to make sure that I put over here the link to my YouTube channel, where I'm going to be posting up, little video bits during the course of the week. So if anybody wants to take a look at them, feel free to click on that. I'm sure I'm going to do a lot of work posting, and there should be some big news. I mean, AI is all over the place. I'm
Yes.
surprised how much AR and VR news I'm getting by email from exhibitors, because honestly, I think that had already been resigned to being a niche thing, and there's a lot of interest, a lot of new technology coming out in that. Certainly, health tech is enormous. It's going to be a slightly different show this
Yeah.
year because the South Hall is closed, so it's going to be the West Hall, North Hall, and plus the rest of Las Vegas. The Sands Expo is now called the Venetian Expo, and going to be really busy. And then a couple of weeks after that, while CES is over, and I'll certainly have my CES wrap-up show, so everybody can watch it, over probably next week's show. I'll have at least some of that content. As we get to the end of the month, you're going to be traveling again to ISE, right, in Barcelona?
Absolutely. Yep. ISE's coming up. I can't believe it is this month, already. It seems it's one of those things that just it sneaks up on you. By the time you get distracted with the holidays, the next thing you know, you're planning on going. But I want to touch on something. One of the things that's interesting that you just said, and I think this pulls into what I think we're going to see at ISE too, but with CES and looking back at Digital Signage Expo, right? Let's connect these three shows. And when we talk about AI, one of the biggest things I think as an industry we had a hard time with was when we were talking about experiential things and let's go with the big LED walls and let's do all this stuff. Everyone thought, oh, that's great. And they work well for the day you install them. But if you don't have a way to create content and keep them fresh, that's always been the challenge, especially if I look at it from the higher ed. And we don't have people on staff. I was lucky at USC. I had Lex Evans, who was on staff and had her own team to help us create that. Most people don't do that, right? Most people don't have that ability, and even corporations don't have that ability. So I think this is where AI has a huge opportunity for us now to really move into the experiential world. We can create these venues. We can have the weird resolution, and aspect ratios, right, on LED walls and digital signage, and now utilize AI to create that content for us, to keep it fresh, to interconnect our things. So I think, and I'm hoping that at ISE, that's what we're going to see. We're going to see some AV companies saying, yeah, let's leverage that. Let's show how we can do that to make it so that we can create these experiences that we kept talking about. We've been talking about it for years. Avixa changed their name. We've been talking about it, but we've never been able to get there, right? And I think this is the opportunity we can.
You're right, and it's interesting. And here's another link that I'm going to put up this Thursday, this week, as this airs. I'm going to be doing a webcast with Mark Zerby, my old Dimension Data friend, for IR. And one of the things we're going to be talking about is AI and what's the history of AI and the future of AI. And I always like to make a big difference, a nice hard line between what we're discussing in the form of generative AI and large language models and what machine learning is capable of doing. Because we're experiencing some very disruptive AI in the machine learning space this year. It's very close to market. It's actually in market. When was the last time we, picked up one of these things, a remote control to aim a camera in a system? The cameras are smarter than we are now. They aim themselves. Noise cancellation happens automatically. The crunching, the crumpling doesn't take place. This year, we've got AI machine learning in some of the microphone array algorithms in the front of the room. So it used to be if you had one microphone array in the front of a room with 30 people and you were facing a glass wall, all people heard was echo. Now it sounds like you're holding a hand microphone. So that's going to be very disruptive to the ceiling tile microphone manufacturers because the quality is now there from AI. What other things are machine learning going to do for us in the collaboration and in the AV space going forward? If you have somebody fumbling with a computer in the room, is the camera going to realize that that's the computer that needs to be presenting and just put it up? Or if like I'm talking on mute, if the computer sees that someone's talking on mute, will they fix it automatically for you? What else can we build into these systems, which isn't so much AI writing books, but it's AI saying, I get what's supposed to happen here. Let me fix it and make it work. I think we're just at the beginning of an enormous disruption this year. I expect you'll see a lot of that at ISE.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think even just kind of going with what you were saying, philosophically, I believe the best technology is no technology, right? The best way to help our customers is to make it so that there is no barrier. And again, things we've been preaching forever, right? But how did we, but as an industry, we always said, how do you make it more seamless for our users? 25 rack units, an IT closet worth of junk. Now, a great technology provided by our manufacturer partners, not junk. But now we move to the cloud. We move to smart services. We move to personal device control, right? I think these are the things where we can now make our rooms smarter because it's what we want to do, right? I think we're technologists, and I guarantee you that a ton of your listeners, probably a very high percentage, we all have our smart houses already, right? We already switched our little light switches. We already tell Siri and the ALOs, turn on our lights for us, to do this, to open our garage. Like, we already do that. And now taking that and saying, okay, how can we put that into the commercial space because our users are doing it? And I think that's where we have huge opportunities. And I think the companies that pay attention to that and allow it, I'm going to go here and open up your APIs. Using normal source code, not proprietary source code, right? So that we can integrate all these services that our customers now want, right? And I think that's really going to be the key.
That raises a question that, I've not been shy about giving my opinion on, and I'd like to get your opinion as well. You are very comfortable and familiar with what's going on in the collaborative spaces. There is no reason in the world why we can't build a device that you press one button for one service and another button for another service and another button for another service. We have it on our smartphones. It works.
Mhm.
They can't say it doesn't work. If we can get it to work on a smartphone, Android or iOS, we can get it to work in a room. The manufacturers, the platform providers don't want it to be. They want the manufacturers to sell a device locked into whatever the service is. They want the licensing for that device on that service. And, some of them have the ability to work on multiple services, usually after a reboot. The ability to fast switch is something that they don't want to do. And, at some point, I think the user community is just going to have to overpower the platforms and say, look, I'm not switching my devices. Either give me this or get out.
Yeah.
How do you see, your user community feeling about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll tell you that if you ask 1,000 of my higher ed colleagues this question, you're going to get 2,000 different opinions. So I will tell you, my thought is, again, I have to look at, I always look at it from what experience the person who's walking in that room, faculty, student, whatever, what are they comfortable with, right? And I totally agree with you when you say our systems, when they want to lock it down, they want to have a whatever XYZ protocol, and they want to license it out, all that stuff. But I sit there and go, what does my customer want to do? And you know what they want to do? They want to use their own stuff. This is the time where I think bring your own device is huge. It's always been, and we don't have to talk about whether you're doing wireless sharing. I think bring your own device as a theory is that individual, the self, needs to be able to walk in and make the room work for them, just like we would do in our home, just like we would do anywhere else. And that's where, when you talk about, should there be a device where it can have, say, the Zoom UC, the MS UC, all those, utilizing those, you can vary the names. Well, how about they just come in with their own device and they open the app and I just use the room to be what pushes the content off of that device, right? That's the easiest thing, because now every customer is comfortable with what they're using. Now, I understand executive conference rooms, things like that, you can't always do that. And that's where there's other opportunities. And I absolutely agree with you. If there's no reason a touch panel can't look like the user interface of a smartphone. There's no reason it can't, right? Select the application you want to do, it links it. If you look at all of our technologies now can use proximity detection. So it should be able to essentially log me in without even having to have a login, right? We can use single sign-ons. We can use two-factor authentication. There's a lot of things that we have the ability to do already that we use in normal life, right? You probably use 4 of those options just to make this call, to have us record this. And yet we go to our commercial situation and we're like, nope, can't do that. We have to buy an XYZ and it's stuck to this and it's got to be that, which is weird because that's not what our customers want. And that's not the direction I think technology is moving in. And that's why when I, to make a short question even longer, that's what I do when I look at things at scale, right? At UCLA, we have hundreds of classrooms, hundreds of conference rooms, hundreds of live event spaces, right? And I have to have something that works seamless across that, regardless of where someone is. Because really, AV is AV. AV is taking some content and sending it somewhere else for someone to consume. The act of what we're doing is the same. So I have to figure out how to make that as seamless as possible, regardless of the situation, right? And that's where I think there's huge opportunities.
Good point. Excuse me. The problem with bring your own device and bring your own meeting is that we're hopeful that everybody's stuff is up to date and works. when it's in the room, you can always be monitoring and proactively making sure that it works. When it's in someone's home, same thing. You can always have, even at home, the campus now, corporate campuses, educational campuses extend well past the walls and go out to homes, over the internet. But when somebody's walking into a room with it and wants to do a meeting, we're all kind of cross praying that it's going to connect. So we haven't really solved that problem yet.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's that we can do more with technology than we are doing. Business is getting in the way of that.
Yeah.
What else do you expect to see from a technology standpoint or from a breakthrough standpoint at ISC? What are you specifically going for?
You know, um, that's interesting because I actually been having this conversation a lot lately, and I don't. Something tells me we're just going to see a lot of improvement on things. That we're not going to see anything totally break out. Like I would love to see, generative AI options. I would love to see programming that can use AI so we can have open source API sharing. I'd
Evolution, not
love,
revolution.
yeah. I don't think we're going to really see anything way out of the box. I'm going to say I'm going to hope that we see more cloud options, and I don't think we will. I haven't heard a lot of buzz behind the scenes on that. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, people are keeping themselves tight-lipped. But I really think we need to move that direction in order to have synergy among our manufacturer partners, so that it's pick my microphone of choice, my camera of choice, my speakers of choice, all of these things that fit and help them work seamlessly together. I think that makes it so that we don't have to be tied to ecosystems, tied to certain brands. I can select what works and is appropriate for that space, and not be, because we love, especially in higher ed, we love standardization, right? So we'll often get so stuck to one manufacturer just so I can only have that one manufacturer because the code is already written that way. And I don't want to pay a programmer to come in and write a specific code to have a different, manufacturer type for a projector, whatever. Well, as we start opening up and we open up our eyes and use standardized programming languages, that becomes so much easier, right? Public keys, things like that, I think I would love to see. I don't think we're there yet. The IT world is getting there, and you're seeing it from IT companies. You're seeing it from software companies. So, and we know AV loves to trail behind by 2 or 3 years. So maybe ISE 2027 will be seeing it. But I would love to see that. I don't think
It's
we
also
will.
it's interesting. I've made the comments on a couple of these shows, and certainly in writing, that innovation is sort of dead from the existing manufacturers. The bigger companies, the ones that have been bought up 3 or 4 or 5 times, they have no need to innovate. They just want to keep, pushing the paint that's on the shelves. And the smaller companies, at least in the collaboration space, in all honesty, are not doing very well financially. There's not a lot of innovation. I think the next wave of innovation in our space is going to come from companies that we don't know yet, that haven't existed yet. Young, new, hungry, smaller. They don't have a barrier or a reason not to do something. They're not looking for their immediate exit. I think that's where we're going to see that next wave of innovation.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree.
As of now, excuse me, frog in my throat today. As of now, I'm not planning on being at ISE 2024. I'd kind of like to go, but that's not the kind of thing that I'm going to do as an independent. But, if there are any announcements that happen during the month of January, that could change, and I'll let you know. But for now, I'm going to let you be the eyes and ears of the world, and maybe I'll have you back on when the show is over, and a couple other people to talk about what you saw and how good or bad it was.
Love to, love to. I'm excited. Already 30% bigger at the more show floor space. So I think there's going to be huge opportunities. And Barcelona is a wonderful city with wonderful people.
I said I finally got to see it last year. I mean, I was there 3 times or 2 times for ISC, and I never saw it. It was, the hotel, the car, the convention, the Fira, and back. But I finally got to see it on a holiday with my wife. So it's a beautiful city. It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's talk just for a little bit before we close this out about HETMA. Tell me about how it started, and what you do for it and what its goals are.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. This is my favorite topic to talk about. Because so it was founded in on March, I guess March 12th, 2018, 19. We're getting there. 19. And we'll be 5 years this year. It's crazy. But we slow rolled the first few years. And really what was an opportunity we recognized, both myself and BC, my co-founder, BC Hatchett out of Vanderbilt, and our steering committee, we recognize that higher ed is a very unique vertical, and that we're your customers, But we also have customers of our own. We do things at scale. We kind of, what the line we like to throw around is kind of in-house integrator, right? Where we design our own, we program our own, we work and partner with manufacturers. So that's kind of how can we get that voice to separate ourselves from just being a customer, right? And we notice the industry changing and a lot of manufacturer partners starting up user groups with end users, right? Manufacturer and partners saying, hey, how can we get straight to the end user and not necessarily skip the integrators, but have that voice, be able to help drive product. And so that's what we did. We founded that in order to have that voice, work with our manufacturer partners, work with our integrator partners to make sure that as we're doing things, we can educate our community, right? And it's really to bring the same service level to the small schools, wherever they are, and the big schools to be able to share our knowledge community. We're really a tight-knit community behind the scenes. Those who've come through it know we share. We like to say that we're collaborators, not competitors, right? We actually love to share information with one another, build that community up. And so that's really where it started. And we've got huge initiatives that have just grown. It started as just a community to get a voice, but now we have our Prism Scholarship where we give 10 scholarships every year to underrepresented professionals within the AV industry. Our scholarship program, where we got a great donation from Aurora. We're going to outfit 1,200 classrooms worth for schools that are that need representation, don't have the same resources. We obviously the first end users ever to put a booth at Infocom, so we're doing that again. We have recently, obviously, the acquisition of Hired AV and Flex Space to help with design of spaces, and we'll also be at ISE covering it live from the point of view of higher ed. And we have our virtual conference that we actually started with, comes up at the end of February. Gosh, it's just amazing to see this take off and to see our membership grow into thousands. And the key is that really makes it special is it's always free for those who work in higher ed. So yes, we do sponsorships and stuff. You got to pay the bills somehow. Turns out a booth at Infocom isn't cheap. No, but that's just a way we could be able to build together and bring the help needed to our community and build them up professionally. One of the coolest things I've seen is seeing the members who have come to it get new jobs, move up in their career, have opportunities that they wouldn't have had, get their CTS. That really is kind of the cool thing on it. So coming up on 5 years, hard to believe.
Have you guys thought about your own certifications as opposed to just, using an industry organization's ones?
Wait, that's breaking news. No, we actually are in the process of working on something that you mention it. But the thing is the CTS is great. We don't want to ever take away from it. Like we love Avixa. They've been a huge support. So it's one of those, how do you draw the line to, we want people to be part of our industry, and that is the CTS is the stamp of approval in our industry, right? So what we are working for, I see that face, but it is until it's not.
In order to have a recognized standard and a recognized mark of quality, you need two things. You need a powerful and important education program that teaches what's important. And you need an advocacy program that tells people not in the industry, this is why the seal of approval is important. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend it, or the doctors have signed off on it, or the smart people use this. This is your seal of approval. What we have in our industry is a robust educational program, but no advocacy. So,
I'll be an advocate. I got one. I'm 1 out of 1. 1 out of 1 Joe Ways.
Yeah, but Joe, you're still talking to people in the industry. You're not talking to people outside the industry saying that's why this is important to architects, to general contractors, so I have a slightly different opinion about some of the things you're talking about, but I don't want to take anything away from how awesome it is that you guys are putting that together.
Yeah, no, and we're working on kind of what we're going to call our core curriculum, which is just helping our people understand how they can be successful in the role working in higher ed, and then give them that ability to kind of guide them into, if you're a programmer, here's the type of courses we think you should take. If this, and utilize and leverage our manufacturer partners too, as well, because many manufacturers have certification programs that are already well developed and are great. So let's see if we can partner. I'm big, why reinvent the wheel when, maybe we can just put a car together off of wheels that are already built, you know?
But a seal of approval from an organization such as yourself saying this person is trained in what a higher ed technology or AV specialist should really know, that would mean a lot for the mobility of people that work in the higher ed industry, as you switch universities.
Absolutely.
If again, if it had that advocacy, we're saying, hey, HR people, this is a seal that shows somebody knows their stuff in the space.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Oh, this is a great
Okay.
think session we're having. And everyone, comment, send your emails. Let's continue the conversation. Yeah, I
So
love it.
let's do it. Give me after we're done talking, I'll put on the screen here as well. I need a link where people can get more information. Is it the same link if they want to join as a member of higher ed
Yep.
as if they want
Yep.
to sponsor?
It's hetma.org, and you go through its general information. You can sign up. It's community.hetma.org is our back end. But once we can tell off of email if it's a .edu, you're part of the community. If it's a corporate, you just select what kind you want, and everyone can join. So though we do have corporate sponsorships, any person in a corporate member can join for free. Like there is no charge to be a member and get in the community. It's just, whether we do special events and lunch and learns and things like that, where we do sponsored things. And our HETMA approved program, so manufacturers can send in, which is actually let's say one of the greatest things. I don't know, I listed everything and left out the approved program, which is one of the best programs we have where manufacturers can send their equipment in and get it, we'll send it to between 5 and 10 of our members. They install it in a real live environment, kick the tires, and it's not is it good or bad, but does it do what the manufacturer says it does, and how does it impact? Is it the right fit for our vertical? And we put a white paper together, and give that manufacturer the HETMA approved stamp to say, hey, this is great. And we've had
That's awesome.
incredible partnerships come
I
through.
know from the manufacturer standpoint, we send out a lot of samples all the manufacturers do. And the hope is that they get some actual feedback. And the truth is the percentage of feedback that they get is very, very low. You don't get somebody saying this worked and this didn't, and then it worked this way and not that way, which is what the manufacturers are dying for. They love that feedback. So if providing it, that's really cool. That's appreciated.
Yeah.
And the one question, which is not meant as a gotcha, because I'm assuming that I know the answer to this, but I want it out in the open. Obviously, HETMA is a nonprofit organization. And obviously, if you've got sponsorships and events, you're collecting funds. And obviously, all of that is of public record. And
Correct.
it's handled legally appropriately. It's not like you're putting it under your mattress and then deciding maybe you're going to spend some of it on a couple of people that you like. It's a real legitimate nonprofit organization.
100%, 100%. And our integrity as an organization is really important to us, right? That was
Yeah.
one of the things as we first found when we were founding it, we founded it, we knew that to be impactful, we also had to make sure that we were representing our people well, but also the industry well, right? And build those relationships. And anyone who is a sponsor, we say, hey, this was a paid for thing. It's pretty obvious if the X brand is named under our happy hour at Infocom and ISE, it's pretty obvious they're a sponsor of that happy hour. But I will tell you, even when a manufacturer signs up for the approved program or one of our focus groups that we hold, there is actually stated that there is no, just whether if you are a sponsor, there is no guarantee that you will get the HETMA approved. There is no preferential treatment at all. And we've actually I won't give them out, we've sent products back and said, this doesn't meet the standard we're looking for. And we gave them a list of things to improve. And it was actually pretty amazing. They did it and sent it back out to us and said, we took that feedback and we improved
Excellent.
it. And so that is one of our beliefs. So.
Yeah, so that's one of my personal pet peeves. I'm on the executive board of the IMCCA, another industry nonprofit. You're on managing the HETMA situation. We need to be out in the open. Unfortunately, there are too many user groups in the AV community that are run out of somebody's garage. And we really shouldn't be associating ourselves with them. We should be making sure that everything is on the up and up and registered and, meeting all the appropriate legal requirements. So if anybody wants any more information on you, to speak with you, to chat with you, to find out about what you're doing, how would you suggest they reach out to you?
They can find me at Josiah Way on all of the socials. I'm everywhere. And josiahway.com, Joe at josiahway.com, or you can find me at HETMA or Higher Ed AV or UCLA. I'm everywhere. It just, if you can't find me,
We're
So I'm
going
not.
back to those many hats again, right? I tell
I
everybody
know.
just Google me. There are only two David Dantos in the world, and one of them's a professor of philosophy in Canada. So I'm not that one.
Oh,
But if you
that
Google
would be
David J.
cool.
Danto, you'll find me. And the closest I come to philosophy is knowing the Philosopher's Song by Monty Python. So in any case, Joe, you'll come back on again after ISE and tell me
I
about
would
everything.
love
So,
to.
terrific.
Absolutely love
Thank you very
to.
much. And thank you guys for watching and being with us every week. And next week's show, as I said, we'll have lots of information from CES. Until then, we'll see you next week.